Good morning, guys. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. My name's Lindsay. I'm the housewife historian. If you're new to my channel, then you are in for a treat. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, turn your notifications on. As you guys know, we saw The Real Housewives of New Jersey Part 3 and final part of the reunion for this season last night on the Bravo channel. I was on Martinis with Eddie live recapping The Real Housewives of New Jersey reunion. So if you caught that, go over there. Eddie is always a great time. We had so much fun. We really enjoy talking housewives. Between the two of us, we pretty much know everything about New Jersey housewives, everything. He's kind of from that area, I think. So, all right, guys, let's get into this. And of course, everything in this video is alleged. I'm not going to play my intro because we got to get into all of this and unravel it because there was a lot that transpired. So, really, I really want to know what you guys think overall, how you feel the reunion as a whole was. Please grade it and let me know in the comments. Do you think that it was graded on like a grading scale, A, B, C, or F minus for the overall? I didn't think there was a lot of content, a lot of meat and potatoes. If you are new to my channel, then if you're not new, then you've heard me say this before, guys. We only get 43, 44 minutes of the episode after the commercials. So when you incorporate the fact that we only get 44 minutes, let's say, then we had to introduce the husband. We saw Teresa and Joe and Melissa go at it and Louis, and there just wasn't a lot of anything else to go on. We didn't hear anything about Margaret's adventures, Margaret's promotions, or not, yeah, I mean, anything really. We didn't hear nothing about it. I mean, we might have heard something about it being in Walmart, but I think that was actually during the after show. So, yeah, we didn't hear anything from Joe, her husband, except for about the baby that's, Lexi, Margaret's assistant that lives there, and they're helping her because she's a single mom. She's really pretty. And he helped Joe, Margaret's husband, helps pick Nino up from school and stuff, and he's helping. And it seemed like it was a tender moment between Margaret and her husband, Joe, because they're like helping Lexi out. And I don't know if they don't have their own grandchildren yet or what the case may be, but it did seem like an authentic moment between the two of them. Also, allegations that there's no police record, no police report, no police anything as it pertains to the alleged phone call that was made from Louis Morales to Margaret's son at work threatening him, right? Margaret showed up with papers. She said that she had proof that Louis had called. It was on the caller ID. But just letting you guys know, allegedly there's no any sort of police record, police proof that this was reported or being investigated, point blank. So I don't know if that is, maybe he just told his mom that. I don't know, guys. It's a little peculiar. If it's a little peculiar. Do we think that Louis really called Margaret's son? I just don't think that Margaret's son, if you are smart enough to find Margaret's son and find his phone number, I don't think that you would. I don't know. Do you really think that that was going to help Margaret back off? That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think that it sounds strategic to reach out to Margaret's son when they're not on the show. And just like we heard Melissa say on her podcast, her On Display podcast, that he's not one of those shit children that have their own kind of confessional. Like he doesn't want anything to do with the show. Yes, I'm pretty much quoting her. That's what she said on her show about it. So yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I think that maybe Margaret didn't have a lot of anything else going on because that was pretty much the only thing that she had to fight with Louis and Teresa about. What else was there? Nothing, because Teresa invited her to her home at the beginning of the episode. They had a lunch, they talked, they chatted. Maybe it wasn't the most sincerest moment of Teresa because she was still harboring some feelings, but maybe she was seriously trying. Who knows? And as Margaret said, they had met with Laura Lee Jensen a year prior to filming, right? She said that. So, and she said everyone already knew. So it couldn't really be Teresa being fake with Margaret, inviting her to her house at the beginning of the season if Teresa had talked to Laura Lee Jensen, because at that point, everyone already knew that Teresa and Jennifer had met with Laura Lee Jensen, according to Margaret's timeline. Anyone? Here's my second discrepancy in the timeline. When Teresa and Joe and Melissa were going back and forth, and Teresa said, like, it used to hurt my feelings. You guys never would ask me to go out with you. And I've actually feel like I've heard Teresa allude to this here and there before, and but like in a sincere way that it was like hurtful, that they only go out with couples and they only hang out with couples, and basically, you don't have a plus one, so it's not going to be as fun for you. I don't know what the case may be. Maybe Melissa just didn't want to hang out with her. I don't know. Because Joe says, "What? What? You were single. You were single and you were going out all the time, Teresa. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" And I went, pump the brakes. Teresa was not acting like a single woman for the 3 years that her husband was incarcerated at the federal prison. Let's go back. Teresa does her time in prison. She comes home. She comes home like, I don't know, 2 months before Joe Judice has to go away, and like a month before Christmas or a couple days before Christmas. So her and Joe Judice celebrate the holidays, and at this point she was only gone for 11 months. They reunite just like a married couple would, and they no issues. They're still married. Relationship's good. They spend the holidays together, and then Joe has to go turn himself in to do his 3 years, right? During those 3 years, Teresa didn't act like a single woman. Her husband was in prison. Teresa did not act like a single woman. She may have hung out with that uh, neighbor or whatever here and there, but like think about a woman who's been with kids and a husband for over a decade, go to prison, like come home to 4 children, debt up to your neck, a house that you're paying too much on, restitution that you have to pay on. Like the woman was carrying a lot on her back. She probably doesn't even realize how much she was carrying on her back. She was pretty much carrying the entire franchise on her back as well because everyone was eating because of Teresa. That's a lot of pressure. I'm just saying, guys, think about that for a second. So, if the worst thing that she did was hang out with a younger guy for some companionship, because I'm sure that a younger guy was easier to hang out with than like an older man. Think about it for a second. If she wasn't looking to like be sleeping around or anything serious, like a young guy who is young and doing his own thing, that's perfect for her because then she can just kind of it can be very light. It doesn't have to be anything but very light. And maybe that was refreshing to her after what she had been through. But she was not acting like a single woman. She was acting like a married woman whose husband was incarcerated. And also, let's not forget that when Joe Judice did his 3 years, because he was fighting his deportation, he was not released after you think you have 3 years. You're like, okay, I'm coming up on my 3 years. I'm about to get out. I'm about to get out. I'm about to get out. And you realize that if you go and get deported, then you can't even really fight your deportation. Like you fight it best when you're there. And he had to be transported from the federal institution to an ICE institution, which was holding illegal immigrants or people that were dealing with deportation issues. Um, and he stayed there for another 6 more months. Would any of you guys want to do, after you did 3 years in prison, want to go do another 6 months in a prison to fight your immigration? The only thing I really respected Joe Gorga for was, sorry, I gotta get my thing. This is one of the only times I really respected him, and it didn't even make any sense because he hates the guy. But when Joe Junos was away, I think it was Easter, and it was um, Nono and the girls and Teresa and Melissa and their kids and Joe. And I think Joe Judice called from prison. And Joe Gorga cried when he talked to him. If you guys go back and watch that, he cried. I don't know if he cried when he talked to him or cried to him when he hung up, but he cried like a guilty person. Because I thought, how strange is it that he's crying about this? Because I know that, of course, I think deep down in his heart they do have love for each other. Their families have known each other for generations. Joe Judice's parents drove Teresa's mom to the hospital to have her. That's how close of friends they have been for years, for generations. Okay, so I think that there is love between the two. But did I think that there was enough love that Joe Gorga would be feeling so emotional about it? Because we certainly didn't see him cry about his sister. We really didn't see him cry about his sister. And he did sort of push Teresa into um, saying, you know what? Like, you need to, because the girls wanted Joe Judice to fight it, to fight the deportation. They felt like, you did some things wrong. I think this is how they felt. You did some things wrong, whatever, whatever. You've been away for 3 years, but like, please fight the deportation so that you can come home to us. So that's a hard decision to make, right? And Therefore, when Joe Gorga told Teresa, like, you need to encourage the girls to let him get out of there. And if that means going to Italy, then going to Italy, whatever that means or whatever that looks like he can't be staying any like he's already done 3.5 years at this point. He's in this institution that's probably similar to a county jail, right? Which is way, way, way worse than prison because you're getting people off the street who have um all kinds of things, right? I mean, seriously, like, come on, you guys watched Lockup before, right? The county jail. Okay, that's what similar what it would be. It was terrible. People were trying to like off themselves. That's how bad it was. So Joe Gorga was like, it's costing you a ton of money in attorney fees. He's sitting in a lockdown facility while you're fighting it. Let the man go home to Italy and go from there and figure it out. And I think that's what they ended up encouraging Gia and the girls to see that perspective and understand where um, and why it would be important to let him get out of there. So that's what they ended up doing. So that timeline is a little bit sketch to me. Um, we didn't hear much from Charisse, or we didn't hear much from Rachel and John Fuda, and we didn't hear anything from Danielle and Nate. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that I think they purposely left some strings untied so that it brings us as viewers back for next season. If they bring Teresa and Melissa both back. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to starve them out. Who knows, guys? But I want to know what your thoughts are. So make sure that you guys hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, turn your notifications on, comment, and let me know what your thoughts are.